Hola a todos y bienvenido to episode 4 of Voces en Vivo, a webinar series brought to you by Circulo Castellano. I'm your host Akriti Kumari and we are so thrilled to have you joining us today. Our theme for this episode is Echoes of Home, Memories and the Power of Storytelling. Today on the occasion of World Poetry Day, we have an incredible guest with us. We are joined by the acclaimed Argentine poet, writer and educator, Miss Laura Giordani. From her roots in Cordoba, Argentina, to her life now in Spain, Miss Laura uses poetic language to explore themes of memory, resilience, and our connection to the world. Muchas gracias, Laura, for being here with us today.
Gracias, muchas gracias a vosotros. Thanks for inviting me to your program. I'm so pleased to be here, really. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So let's get started with our questionnaire then. And we are so much looking forward to hearing really great things from you. To get us started, Miss Laura, you were born in Cordoba, Argentina, and have built your life in Spain. So, to settle a very important debate right at the start, when you sit down to write, are you sipping on an Argentine mate or a Spanish coffee? What is your ultimate comfort routine when writing?
Mate, always mate. It's
Yeah.
more than a habit, which is very addictive, in really. It's a way of, it's a gesture of continuity because it connects me to my roots in Argentina. And the ritual of preparing mate very early in the morning, it's it's a way of grounding myself to begin the day. So it's, yes, mate, of course.
That is so good to know. That is all like wonderful. I would love to have a mate one day if I get a chance. But yeah, it sounds really nice. Coming to your writings, your early writings took the form of diaries and letters when you went into exile in 1978. So, how did that act of documenting your reality back then shape the poet you are today? Like, did the page become a sort of a safe harbor for you?
Yes, when I was a teenager, when I came to Spain, those diaries and letters were a kind of, they were a way of support myself, really. They were more than literature or poetry, they were a means of preservation, a catharsis, a way of expressing my feelings. And yes, they have not a lot of literary value, but for me, it was something more than expression and to preserve my identity and my memory. Yes.
So, was
When
that
you exile in a way, uh, break yourself, break yourself. And writing is a way to gather those fragments and to compose yourself.
was that the very moment when you entered into the world of poetry and were like, yes, this might be my calling?
Sorry, can you repeat the question,
Yeah,
please?
yeah. So I was just asking that was that the moment when you like entered into the world of poetry and was felt like that is my calling.
Well, it was when I was in my 20s. I began to write poetry, but in a more continuous and formal way. It was in my 20s, and then I continue. I also write essays, also, but most of my writings are forms of poems.
That is so nice to know, and it's almost incredible, like how documenting personal realities could later on evolve into something larger. Like there is a strong thread of insubordination and resistance in your work, as we saw. So, in many ways, poetry can act almost like as engaged journalism, documenting truths that might otherwise be forgotten or silenced. So, like, do you also see your poetry as a way of bearing witness to the world's injustices?
Yes, I think that poetry it's a kind of witnessing, as you say, like in journalism, for example, for instance, but it's also a place of resistance, because it invites you, poetry invites you to look at the world in a different way. And in a way, we normalize perception, we normalize injustice, poverty, so many things, war, this very moment, and poetry, art, I would say, not only poetry, helps us to desensitize ourselves and to connect, to open to the world. And yes, it's a kind of resistance, it's a way of resistance of the human spirit for me.
Yeah, that is actually very relatable. Honestly, the way we write and the way we think does somehow resemble with the situation that is going on around the world and the society that we are living in. So now coming to a point for like for young people who feel overwhelmed by issues today, it can be hard to know how to speak up. So how can the simple act of reading or writing poetry by a form of everyday resistance?
Yeah, it's strange, but for me, reading or writing poetry, it's a way of resistance. And you may say, how? How? Because I think that happens in many ways. First of all, when you read poetry or you write poetry, you slow down. Your perception slows down. Then poetry returns your attention. You are capable of being attentive. And I think that nowadays, uh, a major catastrophe is the attention deficit. I don't know if you lack of attention, not only in children, but also in adults. It's incredible, mobile phones, screens, they steal our attention, they fragment our attention, and in a way, look at the world in a very attentive way. Then you cannot look the other side. First, to recover attention. And of course, poetry invites you to breathe in other way, and it's not allowed or in a form of slogans. It's not a loud resistance. It's very humble. It's very subtle. It's very delicate. But I think poetry can. Okay, maybe poetry cannot modify material conditions as such, but can change your perception, can change our perception. And that's very important.
That is actually a very incredible point. It does definitely changes the perception, and it definitely does have some impact on our mindset and how we think and how we behave. Now,
Yeah.
moving forward from that, from your social resistance and from to the physical environment that we are in, your 2020 collection is titled Manka Terra, which evokes a sense of missing or lacking earth. And we are living in a time where our physical relationship with the land is fractured with
Yeah.
ongoing climate crisis and war. So, can poetry and literature help us regenerate our connection to the earth and to each other as well?
Okay, I wrote Manca Terra, the title you mentioned, in 2020 before the pandemic times. And yes, Manca Terra speaks of about lack of roots, lack of belonging. And I think that these days, this lack of grounding, this lack of roots is something so generalized individually and at a collective level, no? And in a way, you know, literature and poetry can help us to make these roots, to weave, to weave roots. And yes, Manca Terra was about lack of roots, for my story. But I think that we live times when this lack of roots is very visible.
Yeah.
Roots
Yeah.
and links between us and nature, between us and the others, isolation. It's something like that.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much for that wonderful explanation and answer. Now, moving forward from that, I would like to talk about how your roots has changed since you have been living across different continents, and like, do you think about it ever, like the concept of root and what could it mean to you? Are like, is it something that you tie to physical piece of land, or is it something that is more tied to language and memory for you?
No, my roots are not fixed or tied to a piece of land anymore for my because of my story. I think that my roots travel with me, and language, memory, some bright fragments of my childhood, affections, of course. Those are my roots at these times. Of course, my notion, my concept of roots has evolved from something territorial to something that is not territorial, not just territorial. It's made not only of our origin, but also of our affections, and we can build roots. I mean, we can make community, especially in our cities, big cities, where people are so isolated and alone. No, you can, yes, you can weave community.
Yeah, that's actually very true. In the big cities, it is very hard to connect with people because of the hustle and bustle that is going on around the outside world. But yeah, but slowly and gradually, we do find our place, and even if we like move from one place to another, somehow it is always tied to memories and the people that we were with. And like this perfectly leads us into something that we are very passionate about here at Circulo Castellano. We love exploring how different parts of the world connect. So, Hispanic and Indian cultures, for example, share incredibly deep traditions of using storytelling, poetry, and family oral histories to preserve memory. So, do you ever feel that the themes you write about, like family, exile, and memory, are universal bridges that connect seemingly distant cultures?
Yes, I think so, because you have mentioned memory, exile, family, and those are universal themes. I mean that they have to do with our humanity, and that humanity is shared among all cultures. And that is, those themes help to, yes, help to build bridges between different cultures. Yes, yes, they are the themes of mankind. Death, love, family. We are the same. We are all the same in that way.
Was there ever a moment in your life, like when you were maybe reciting a poetry at a recital, and when you were talking to some of the people who came to like hear you, listen you, or talk to you, you've ever felt like, yes, this was very like, the moment that I was waiting for, like the sense of recognition, or the sense of achievement, or the sense of like something like that. Has it like ever happened, memory or something that you could share that made you feel like it is, everything is worth it, like the journey, everything was worth it?
Yes, yes, yes. I have felt that what you are mentioning
Mm.
many, many times. Yes, I think there's a meaning, a shared meaning, and sometimes there's a psychologist, Young, Gustav Young. He talked about synchronicities, and I think yes, I think that happens and happens a lot in poetry.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely understandable. We all are like big fans of yours. So I do believe that your work definitely motivates a lot of young people out there who are listening to you or who are reading your work, going through that. And yeah, connecting to that, you also teach creative writing.
Yes.
So when you see your students experimenting with their voices, what gives you the most hope for the next generation of Spanish language writers?
One thing that gives me hope for of young Spanish writers, and in this category, I include Spanish students from America, also from South America, from Central America. They they are not satisfied with the old ways of writing and perceiving the world. They explore, they search, they they investigate, and they are not afraid of mixing different genres, you know like they can trespass those borders that used to separate poetry from novel, for example, or from essay, or from short stories. They can use different genres together, and they are very creative in the sense that combine or mix poetry with audiovisual languages, cinema, music, theater, performance, and that's very creative. I'm yes, I have a huge hope of young writers in Spanish language. Yes.
Yeah, we do believe that the youth can bring a lot of change in the society. So we hope that from your writing and from your teachings, that the students who are getting taught from you are learning a lot of valuable life lessons that can help them further in the future. And speaking of distant cultures in general, what was your experience when you came to India for the first time? Was there any culture shock or similarity you could see? We are very excited for this answer.
I went to India last December, invited
Yeah,
by the Instituto Cervantes
yeah,
of New Delhi. And it was overwhelming in terms of intensity. Of course, I only went to two cities, New Delhi
yeah,
and Calcutta, so it was a reduced experience. India is very large, and it has a cultural richness, but despite these differences, some cultural difference, very soon I felt something familiar. The chaos in the traffic of New Delhi, for instance, the large number of children on the streets, the kindness of the people. It reminds me of some cities of South America, where I come from.
yeah, yeah.
This nice chaos and the bright in the eyes of the people. That's incredible. Yes. Affection, interest. Yes. And
Yeah, that's That's true. That is the thing that I also miss most about my country right now when I'm here in Denmark. And I do believe that there's a lot of similarity when we talk about Indian culture and the South American culture and like the places there. Even I would say the buildings, the people, and the places there also. A lot of there's a lot of similarity when we talk about that. The food is also very similar to Mexico and like the spice level, obviously, I would say, because it
Yes,
is not a lot of in other countries. Yeah.
yes.
Thank you so much, Laura. This has been a very incredible, insightful conversation. I do want to continue talking to you, but I will now call upon Saurav for the amazing rapid fire round that he would do and give us a hit of Spanish rapid fire round. Saurav?
Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Akriti.
Yeah.
Muchísimas gracias a Laura por estar aquí.
gracias.
Ahorita cambiamos el medio de hablar a español. Y antes
Ahora
que
hablar español,
saltamos,
vale.
sí, habla en español. Pues,
Vale.
antes que saltamos a la ronda de Rapid Fire, muchísimas gracias. Como explica la belleza de las carreteras caóticas de Nueva Delhi y nuestro país. Es muy bonito como expliques. Muchísimas gracias por las palabras. Eh, Ahora saltamos directamente a la ronda. Pues
Muy bien.
aquí está mi primera pregunta a ti. ¿Cuál es tu palabra favorita en el español?
Ternura. In English
Ternura.
is tenderness, ternura. Yes.
Ok, bueno. Pues mm, la segunda, pues papel y lápiz o escribir en la computadora o algo modo digital.
Papel y lápiz siempre, sobre todo en las primeras etapas de la escritura, que yo
Mm,
llamo escritura magmática, papel y lápiz, sí.
es que yo prefiero también. Bueno, un libro o poema que todos deberían leer al menos una vez.
A ver, la poesía completa de San Juan de la Cruz, que es un poeta
Juan de la
místico
Cruz. Sí.
español, San Juan de la Cruz, sí.
Bueno, ok. Bueno, ahora, si tu poesía fuera un paisaje, ¿cuál sería?
Para mí sería un bosque entre montañas, posiblemente, sí.
Bueno, bonito. Pues, el mejor momento del día para escribir.
Temprano a la mañana mientras tomo un mate. Eso.
Ok, ok, ok. Bueno, en mi opinión es cuando estoy intentando dormir, pero no puedo.
Ah, el
Ya te digo,
insomnio.
sí. Ok. Um, bueno, si pudieras cenar con cualquier poeta de la historia, ¿quién sería?
Uf. Eh, Paul Celan, podría ser Paul Celan, sí.
Bueno,
Paul
un
Celan.
consejo. Ok. Bueno, un consejo para los jóvenes aspirantes a escritores. A ser escritores.
Vale, que protejan su singularidad, que protejan a su niño interior, que es creativo, que no dejen que el mundo lo arrase ni lo destruya. Protege a tu
Eso
niño interior.
es, sí, eso es la única cosa que nos motiva para escribir más. Eso es lo que creo.
Sí.
Pues, um, un poeta o autor que cambió tu vida por completo.
Alejandra Pizarnik. Es una poeta argentina.
Ok. Bueno, ahora tenemos muchos poetas que puedo leer sobre. Bueno, la emoción que más te inspira a escribir.
Compasión. La compasión. Yo creo que en sánscrito se dice karuna, es compasión, sí.
Karuna, sí.
Sí.
Describe la poesía en una sola palabra. ¿Es posible?
Uy, en una sola palabra,
Sí,
hospitalidad. Hospitalidad, sí.
hospitalidad.
Hospitalidad.
Pues, en mi opinión, la palabra sería poesía, porque creo que no hay una palabra que describe poesía más bonita como poesía. Sí,
Es verdad, es cierto.
sí. Muchísimas gracias por esta ronda y dar nuestros compañeros la información que buscamos y los consejos que estuvimos esperando. Ahora, I'll hand over back to Akriti for the greetings.
Yeah. Thank you so
Muchas
much,
gracias.
Saurav. Yeah,
Muchísimas.
thank you so much. Thank you so much, Laura. Thank you so much, Saurav. That was a very beautiful rapid fire. I loved every opinion of that. And yeah, this is, I would say, the end of it. Muchas gracias, Laura, for your time, your wisdom, and for sharing your beautiful insight with us today. We had like really great conversation, and I love talking to you. And I believe that audience who watched your video and will watch in the future would love listening to the video of how your opinions were, and the youth who might be going through your work or talking to you in any way. I do believe that will have a lot of great impact in the future. And a massive thank you to everyone who tuned in. If you want to learn more about Laura's work, be sure to look up her poetry collections, and don't forget to follow Circulo Castellano here on Instagram so that you don't miss out on any of the next episodes of Voces en Vivo. Muchas gracias a todos. Nos vemos pronto. Buenas noches. Chao.
Thanks for having me. It has been a nice dialogue. Thank you very much.
Thank you
Gracias.
so
Thank you
much,
so
Laura.
much. Muchísimas gracias, Laura, por venir.
Gracias. Gracias.
Nos vemos. Chao,
Nos
chao.
vemos. Chao, chao.
Chao.